Yes, I know it's been a long time, but this is a big update. Let's jump in. First things first, this. I'm doing Movember, and you can pay money to make it go away, and the money goes to charity. It's a win-win. And secondly, the elephant in the room, it's been a big gap since the last video. And you know, it's been a long time when even Project Binky got a video in before me. The reason for that is simple. I just haven't had the energy to put into working on the car, but not long after the last video, I realized this and I made the decision to take it down to my friend Matt, who you've seen in other videos, for him to do a round of fabrication and servicing on the car. My original vision was that I would do all the work myself, but I promised honest warts and all experience, and the reality is it just wasn't going to happen with me. But I think I made the right choice, so let me take you through the work. So the car has been with Matt for the last several months, and he's been giving me regular picture and video updates. Very recently, it was finally time to go and collect the car because the work was complete. Welcome, here we are with Matt picking up the car. I'm very excited to have it back, and I'm very pleased to have him work on it. Matt, how are you?
Oh mate, I'm good, thank you.
All right, so let's work through the to-do list, which I showed earlier. And the first thing was working out the packaging, just basically where everything was going to sit. So fuel tank, fire tank, and battery. A quick refresher on the fuel tank. The old one was out of date, so I had to order another one from overseas that was FAI compliant. And basically it's a bladder as well as a protective tin. This is the sticker that really counts to get the car certified. And the reason it's so safe is that it's flexible, puncture-proof, and it's also filled with special foam on the inside to prevent the fuel from sloshing around and keep it under better control. So what approach did you take for that?
It's pretty much just sitting the tank in place, making sure that I was going to be able to sort of figure out a position I was going to be happy to run the fuel lines and the filler neck that was going to work with the existing pump and filler neck setup, and was pretty lucky really that the size of the battery and the fire tank really worked in well with that sort of remaining space. Sort of make a battery box setup that incorporated the mount for the fire suppression tank as well.
And it's worth noting that it's like the opposite way to which I was planning, and I suppose I was always trying to line up the fuel cell with the filler tank above, but you didn't let that constrain you, and you just thought you'd have an extension. And then
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we just maintained the original fill point to still suit the bodywork. But yeah, like a little basically an extension and a couple of bends in the pipe, and yeah, it all works.
I couldn't decide when I was doing this whether I was going to weld on little tabs and then bolt it down directly to the chassis, but you've ended up using straps.
Yeah, so I've used similar setup to what factory production cars use for tanks, which is basically just a metal strap around the tank. I welded on a few 2 points either side of the tank, some log studs on there, so basically the straps can sort of locate over those studs, and it pulls the tank into both the floor and the firewall, and some foam padding underneath so that the tank isn't sitting metal to metal. Okay, so fuel lines, there was already some dash fittings on there, but they didn't reach the new location. Yeah,
so
that's
right. Did you extend, and did you follow the same path or something different?
Where the feed line is going up to the fuel pump, I maintained that same line into the main cab area, but I've changed it from a flexible line to a hard line, so yeah, so I could run tighter tolerances on the bends and keep clearance. And for the return line, that was basically just extending from the original point in the side of the cab back over to the tank. So
all right, so for me, my next job is pouring the custom foam seat to go in the car. So you've built up a kind of over the top additional firewalls, probably the best way to say it, but you've made some changes sort of strong enough for me to lean on.
The sheet material, I'm not sure, it was about 0.8 of a mil. If it wasn't going to have the seat sitting on top of it, probably wouldn't worry too much, but I've used some aluminium extrusion along the back to add some rigidity and stiffness to the to that, so that when you put the seat in there, it'll be some support there. You won't have any issues with it sort of falling in or moving the seat position. That's in 2 pieces, so sort of put the one piece in, bolt that in, get the other piece in, then they attach in the middle as well, so it's be all tied in together.
And one of the reasons for that, we discussed during marshalling or the car being checked, that they might want to see the fire tank or any other element to make sure it hasn't gone out of date. So
general serviceability as well, so that any access to the battery tank, any of that setup is easily accessible.
And the other thing that's new in the cockpit is the electrical cutout switch. That was one of the requirements from the logbook inspector. So you mounted that to the side of the cockpit too? Yeah,
just on the right hand side of the inner wall of the cockpit, and that's pretty simple. That's like just from like the existing power distribution box and the side, so in between that and the battery.
To be honest, I took the opportunity to offload as many things on the list to you as I could once it was in your hands. So another little addition just above the cockpit is the front toe strap.
So that's just onto the existing bolt for the top hoop that goes down to the support at the back.
The other thing that I put onto your to-do list from mine was the servicing of the car.
So I started just doing the basic service work, which was so the engine oil and filter, rigged up some straps on the two-post hoist so I could lift the car off the ground, so to make it a bit easier. Changing the oil in the dry sump system is a little bit more involved than your regular wet sump. You can't just pull the sump plug out and just hope all the oil drains out. The main sump has a drain, but you got the taken off the main hoses on the main reservoir for the oil, as well as the oil cooler itself. So you basically have all that out, let it all drain out.
And when you ran the car again, that's when you found an issue with one of the fuel pumps.
The lift pump for the surge tank. So basically that draw is what draws fuel from the main tank to feed the surge tank that's mounted up near the engine. That's got its own inbuilt high pressure pump. And I was having a couple of issues keeping it running, and then realised that the lift pump wasn't working, so the main fuel pump was basically running dry. The pump was just stuck, and basically a couple of taps with a hammer on the side of it just to sort of free it up got it working, but we weren't 100% confident that there wouldn't be any issues, and for the cost of a new pump was just not worth the risk of losing a motor, because saving $150. So also cleaned out the pre-filter for before that pump. Okay,
so the biggest issues, which we thought would just be a trivial part, was changing the brake fluid, but that developed into a whole lot more.
That definitely snowballed. When I've initially gone to drain the existing fluid out of the system, it was just jelly. It was basically just like solid jelly. And what had happened is someone's topped, I can't say which way, but basically someone's mixed silicon and non-silicon brake fluid, and you just can't do that. It reacts. Potentially we could have just got everything flushed out and sort of seen how it's going to go, but I thought it would be best to at least strip everything, send it to our local brake specialist, get them to strip and inspect anything, tell me if there's any other issues with pistons or bores or anything like that. And
there was, right?
There was, unfortunately. Again, just lack of use, lack of servicing. There was a fair bit of pitting and scoring on all the internals of the brakes. So the call was made to just replace all the brakes, or we do pistons and seals on all the calipers, and the 3 master cylinders, so front, rear and clutch master cylinders. Rebuilding those was basically the same price as getting new ones, so that was easier just to put some new ones in the front. But so that was a 2 or 3 weeks to get those in and sort it out. Flushed all the system, the rest of the hoses multiple times to make sure there's no possible issue of anything reoccurring. Flushed the system through with all the new brakes on, and it's all working really well. It all came out really nicely.
When you say it's working well, did you secretly take it through the drive-through just here, or?
Can't keep any secrets around here, unfortunately, but No, it's actually so low I couldn't even actually get it out of the driveway. There's a bit of a dip out of the driveway, and yeah, couldn't even get past that, unfortunately.
By the length of this video and interview, it sounds like there wasn't really that much work, but really this has been going on for a few months now, right?
It has been, yeah. So doing it sort of at nights after work or weekends occasionally. It's easy to say, oh, look, I've made up some brackets to make the battery and the tank and all that, but that battery box setup probably took me easy 4 or 5 hours. Lots of little bits of trial and error on working out how things are going to fit together and making sure that it's going to be something that you can pull apart and it's not a chore to dismantle and reassemble while you're just trying to fix or service something.
I appreciate that, because I can tell the way some of the car was put together was when it was pretty much stripped bare. So you couldn't access some of the things as we got to them without pulling the rest of the car apart. So,
and some of it, there's a limit to what you can do, especially on a car like this where space is at such a premium, and you've got so much that you need to pack into there. There's definitely things where you've got no choice, but it's going to be hard. But if it can be easy, then there's no reason to not make it easy.
So what's something to do before I do the chair?
A neighbour of mine is a boilermaker. He's sort of welding up the last few bits on the firewall to go behind the seat and the filler neck, because there was a little bit of adjustment I needed to make on that. So he's finalising getting those bits of alloy welded together, and then we can put that in, finish off the hosing for the fire suppression tank, connect that up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be getting the car back.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for thanks for trusting me with the job. Yeah, it's been good.
I'd rather trust you than me with it. And that's not an exaggeration. My available time and available motivation were both waning, so it was really good to have someone as capable and friendly and professional as Matt to drop the car off and set to work. Now, there was one item at the start that I haven't covered in this video. It is done, and it's to do with how I can transport the car and tie it down safely. I'll cover that in a separate video. The main thing is that in terms of actually driving the car, we're getting quite close. So I've got to tidy up a little bit in here, get the rest of the bodywork and the floor back on, and then invite the guys around to help me pour the foam seat. And I know I've said this before, but hopefully it won't be that long until the next update. If you want to be in the draw to win this lifetime supply of peanut packaging, head down to the comment section and give me your funniest suggestion for what I should name this car.